again. Oh, Carrie, you got it recorded? Yes. Awesome. Okay. So it is being recorded. So I'm going to apologize again to you. So sorry about the email confusions and them going out at different times. I apologize, but I am happy that you are all here right now and joining us. Can everybody see my screen that says back to basics? If you give me a thumb up. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. And Carrie is putting the link in the chat for all of you so you can hop on. We still have people coming in. So my name is Alicia Gallegos Butters, and I have the absolute pleasure of being the Director of Educational Technology here at the San Diego County Office of Ed. And I am joined here today by my colleague, Ms. Carrie Lane. And Carrie is always generous enough to let me do sheets and forms, even though she is a complete and total expert at this. But she allows me to do it. So I'm going to do it. I do know him pretty well. So, but she may, if she catches me going off the deep end and doing some things that she's like, Alicia, that's not right. I'm going to stop you. She might hop in at any minute. Christina, are you raising your hand because you have a question, or are you raising your hand to let me know that you forgive me for the email that went out?
Oh, so
At all the
sorry. I think I accidentally raised my hand. I'm so
No
sorry about that.
worries. We are a very informal group, so not a problem at all. Okay, so if you are here for back to basics, forms and sheets, you're in the right place. So what we're going to talk about today is both of those items. But what I want to direct you to is you have, oh, lots of people are still coming in. So you're going to have the job aid to the forms and the job aid to the sheets. They're also in the chat for you. So you'll be able to get to those in the chat. Correct, Carrie? Thumb up. Yes. Okay. So I also want to direct you to our EdTech website. So on our EdTech website, what you're going to be able to get to is once we have this posted, if you click right here to view the events, one thing that we do is every time we post, we put the video and the slides there for you, or the video and the resources. So you'll be able to get to all of those items after this ends. So if you're like, I just want to follow along and I don't want to use the job aids right now, then that is fine. They'll be posted here probably next week. Okay. But it's also a really good place that if you wanted to take a look to see what else we're offering, it's all there as well. The other thing I wanted to direct you to, we are giving graduate credit through USD for this. So if you are interested in that, all the directions are here and you can find those on the website. So if you would like to get graduate credit, you could get it right there as well. And so they do want people to attend a certain amount of a certain amount of professional development to get that credit, but it's all spelled out there, and you can always email me if you have questions about that. Okay, so the resources are also here, and Carrie has sent is putting that out there. Okay, so today we're going to talk about using Google Forms for teaching and learning. So we're going to create some tests with it. We're also just going to create some surveys with it. We're going to talk about how it can really enhance what you're doing. We're going to change some of those templates, and I'm going to show you how you could use it to embed like a YouTube video and then have some questions on that. So all of those things we're going to go over today. And then we're also going to be using sheets. And so all the directions for what I'm going to be doing today are going to be on those job aids for you. So again, you do not need to take notes. You can follow along. You can follow along with your hands and your computer if you so desire. All right. So to start off, what we're going to do is we are going to actually exit the slideshow. So the slideshow is just for those resources for you. And we're going to start getting our hands onto this information, these forms. So I'm going to start off by going to actually my Google Drive, which is right here. So this is my Google Drive. And to get to a Google form, I am going to go to New, and I'm going to go down to Form. So for those of you that are following along, you might want to do that as well. When I do that, I'm going to show you what they offer as far as a Google form. So you can start off with a blank form, which I will show you in a minute. But what's nice is you can also start off with a blank quiz. So if you start off with a blank quiz, it kind of sets everything up for you that it's going to be a quiz. I'm going to show you how to do that also with if you don't use that template, but it does show you. The way I know it's a quiz is it says right here, answer key. That's how I know it's a quiz. So so you have your options here, new, blank form, blank quiz. You also have from a template. So I'm going to click on that. Google does a template gallery for you. So it gives you a general template gallery. And here it has all sorts of different types of forms that you could use. I do like using this sometimes, but sometimes I also like creating my own. But a lot of people like to start with this. You'll also notice that I have one that says SDCOE. Now, SDCOE, those are the templates that my organization has put in for me. So if you're using a Google account from your school, you may see you have some templates that have been added from your district or your charter school or even just your school site. So that's something that you want to look at. Sometimes they'll allow you to submit a template if you have something like a parent survey that you think, oh, this would be great. I want to share it with my entire district. Sometimes they'll allow you to submit that and your district can decide whether or not that they are going to use that as a template. Okay? All right. Just some norms. If you have any questions, we're a small group. Feel free to unmute yourself. I'm good with that. And then Carrie is also watching the chat. So if you want to put something in the chat, you could do that as well. Okay. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to Google Forms and we're going to go to blank forms. So if you're following along, you want to do that. And I'll give everybody a second to do that. Okay. On Google Forms and blank forms, I'm just going to kind of give you this overview of what it is that you're looking at. All right. You know what? I'm going to take off my video, like that blue background, because it's I talk with my hands and I like to teach with my hands and I see they're disappearing and I don't like that. I want you to see the full effect of my hands moving and, so I'm going to go to none and you'll be able to see just my background. Let's see. No, full virtual background, none. Okay. So you can see I'm in my office now and now you get my full effect of my hands moving. All right. So let's give you kind of this background of what is happening in my desktop. So what you're going to see is you're going to see automatically you have your untitled form. Then you're going to come across, you're going to see questions, responses, and settings. I'm going to go over all of those. And then here you have some add-ons. Add-ons are good. We're going to talk about them. We're not going to do any of them, but they're good for you to explore on your own. Okay. And then we have our palette, which I love, and you can tell it's a palette because it's a paint palette. This eyeball, anytime you see this eyeball in Google, it gives you the preview. So if I click on it, this is the preview of what it looks like. So that's a good one to always get to know. You have your undo, you have your redo, you have the link, and you have the share, and you have the publish. We also have these three dots, which I'll go over in a moment. All right, so that's what we're looking at. The first thing that you always want to do is you want to title your form, especially if your form is different from this and this. So, but if I title this form, if I double click and I title this parent survey, and then I hit enter, it should, and I click up here, see how now it becomes parent survey? So it's named my form parent survey. So if here I want to do parent survey 10/2025, notice how that's there, but it's not there. So it's not on the big title, but it's on this title. So on the title, that is the title. The title in the top left-hand corner is the title that you're going to see and you'll search for in your Drive. And if you took my Drive class, you kind of learned how to search at Google Drive. Okay, so this is where you want to get more specific. This one, you want it to say the title that people will see. Okay, letting that person in. All right, but before I even do that, I've named it. That's always the first thing you want to do. But before I start adding all sorts of questions, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here to my responses. So I have 0 responses here, but you're also going to see link to sheets. This is going to become important soon. So you want to make sure that you know about linking to sheets. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But you want to come to settings. So settings is important. And so settings here, I'm just going to walk you through some of these settings. So here, if I wanted to make it a quiz, I can just click here and make it a quiz, and it's going to unlock all of this information. Now, if I go back to my questions, I know that it's a quiz now because do you see that answer key is there? So let me show you again. If I don't make it a quiz, come here, there's no answer key. Make it a quiz, and there's an answer key. Everybody with me on that? Thumb up. All right, awesome, thank you. All right, and again, if you have questions about it, you can ask. All right, but if you decide to make it a quiz, or if you do the quiz from the template, remember we had the blank quiz, you have some questions that you want to ask or you want to answer. So let's just kind of go through those. So you want to say, should I release the grade immediately? So if you're making this a quiz and a student finishes it and submits it, it will send them the grade immediately. So it'll let them know they have 85% or they have 25%, right? Or they got 100. Some reasons why you may not want to release that immediately is if you have some open-ended questions that you have to grade yourself. It's really good at grading multiple choice, not so good at grading multiple choice or open-ended. So if it's something that you need to manually review, then you're going to click on later after manually review. But it's something that's only, if it's something that is only multiple choice, you're fine on this one, okay? Locked mode. So this, if you do lock mode, and this is only allowed, I believe, if your students are on district managed Chromebooks. Let me make sure. About lock mode. Yeah. So it's like if you're sending out a quiz to students and they're not on school devices or school email addresses, lock mode's not going to mean anything. If they're taking the quiz at home and they're on their iPad or, something like that. But if you're doing a quiz in class and everybody's on a Chromebook, then you could do lock mode. Any questions about that? Okay. Then the rest are kind of asking, like, do you want students to be able to go back in and answer questions? Are they, limited to one response? Can they go back in and correct answers? That type of thing. Then you want to say, if you wanted to make a default, like if you wanted every question on this quiz to be worth 5 points, you can put that in 5 points. And that just makes everything the same. But if you don't want to do that, if you want to say, okay, this is a harder question, so this is going to be worth 25, these are going to be worth 10, and this is going to be worth 3, you can do that. So then you would not, you wouldn't put anything there, and you would be able to manipulate it in the actual quiz. Okay. And then you can go through and kind of see the rest. The responses are, do you want to automatically collect email addresses? Do you want send the responder a copy of their responses? That could be a little tricky, and you might want to never do that if you have multiple periods. So if you have first period, you give them the quiz, and then the kids have all the answers for the next class. So you want to think of that. All right, allow response editing. So if a child or a student puts in yes, and then they think about it and they're like, oh, I want to go back and change that to no. So you can allow people to go back and change their answers. Okay. All right. And then the limit to 1 response. So let's say, I'm very, I took the quiz and then I want to go back and retake it. So you want to like maybe think about, do I want to limit students to only taking it one time? Okay. All right. So those are things to consider. Okay. So we're back here. Oh, but I'm going to actually, yeah, I'll just keep it a quiz because that we can like keep working on it that way. All right. So I'm going to do, let's say I'm going to do a parent series on this, a parent survey. Okay. So here is where I put in the description. So this is what the parents will see. So please take a moment to fill out the quiz. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you have, and you can, you know, bold it, you can underline, you can do all sorts of things with it. So again, this is the description. And if I click here on the I can see, oh, there's where it says that's what it's beginning to look like. So I can start to look at it. I'm going to close that and go back. All right, everybody with me? Notice it also says this form is collecting emails. So there is the email as well. All right, now here is where I can start doing my questions. So here, if I wanted to do a question, so I'm going to say, and just stick with me on this because sometimes this quiz may not, or the parent survey may not make sense. I'm just showing you different options. So don't be like, I would never ask a parent if they're a parent or student. Just stick with me on it. Okay, so here we're going to say, I am a parent or a student. Okay, so then that could be one of the questions. I'm going to make this a multiple choice question. And here I can put in parent. The next one, I could put in student. So I can start typing in multiple choice. And it usually will default to the last thing that you asked, the last question that you asked, though multiple choice is always kind of the first one it asks. But I do want to show you a couple things with this. So if you look here, what I did is I clicked where it said multiple choice, there's a drop down, and here it starts giving me a lot of different types of options. So I could do a short answer. So if I wanted somebody to write out a short answer, I could do that. Here I could have like a long answer, a paragraph, multiple choice, check boxes, which allows somebody, that's like a checkbox is list all that apply or check all that apply. So I like pizza, spaghetti, ice cream, hot chocolate. I would actually click all that applied on that one. So, because I like all that stuff. So again, if you're like finding out what parents would want for parent night and food, you might want to do that. Drop down gives you kind of like the list. So if you're asking them maybe to select your child's class or your child's teacher, and then you have a list and they select that teacher. You can upload a file, which we'll talk about it. You could do a Likert scale. like rate your commute, long or short, and then it's a Likert scale. And ratings is new, so you can have them like kind of rate like 1, 2, 3, like the level, multiple choice grid, and checkbox grid. So those are some of the things there. Now, other things that you're going to see here is you can make a question required, and you can click there to make that question required. You can copy a question. So if that's a really good question and you want to duplicate it, you can copy it and you can throw it away. You also have these 3 dots here. So if you wanted to give a description, so I clicked on description, I could say, please select your role as it will take you to another place section. So you can tell somebody to do that. That's in the description. You could go to, and I'm going to show you how to go to a section based on something else in a minute. And then you could shuffle the order of the questions. So there's a lot of different things that you can do here. Okay. How's everybody feeling? All right, good. Now, to create a new question, you can click here on the plus sign. So I'm going to click that here, but I'm also going to, I want this to be up higher. I want this to be at a higher level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on these 6 dots. Do you see when I hover, I get these 6 very faint dots? So I'm going to click on those 6 very faint dots and I'm going to drag it up. And do you see how it was able to drag it up? And what I'm going to type here is please provide an optional email address or a second email address. Okay, you don't have to do something like that, but I did that because I want to show you what's happened. So AI is now built into this. And so you'll notice that when I changed that, it changed from multiple choice to short answer. So that's AI kind of doing its job. But here's something I do want to show you, which is really kind of a cool little feature in Google Forms. So I'm not going to make it required because some people only have one email address. But what I can do is I could come down here to where it says response validation. So I want to show you, if I come to this one, this is multiple choice, I'm not going to get response validation. But because this is short answer and I click on the 3 dots, I do get response validation. So I'm going to click on response validation. And for an email address is not a number. What it is it is text. So I'm going to click on text. And what I'm going to say is it must contain an email. So again, let me show you. I went to response validation. This is text and it's an email. If I wanted to put a custom message in there, so if they don't provide, like if their email, it's not an email address, let's say they just put Alicia MGB and they don't put @gmail.com, I could say, please use the correct email format, and it will give them the correction. So that's a really nice kind of feature for that. So again, you can say how you want that to look. You have that response validation in a lot of different ways. So if it's a number, you can say like a number greater than. It gives you all of these options as well. So this is a really nice thing to kind of play around with. And again, you're going to get that in the response validation. Any questions about that? Okay. Now, another thing I'm going to show you, and people really like the idea of this. So how many of you have taken a quiz or a survey or a quiz or something? And like for instance, here there's a parent and there's a student. So I don't want to, if I answer I'm a parent, I don't want to go through and see all the stuff that's going to be for students. Or if I answer I'm a student, I don't want to see all the questions that are going to be for parents. So you can add something here and it's like it breaks it up into different groups. So the way you want to do that is you have to start off adding some sections. So the way you add a section is the equal sign at the bottom. So you'll see if I hover over that, it says add sections. So I'm going to click on that. And here's my section right there. It says section, title section. So I'm going to call this title section student. And I'm actually going to move this above that because this needs to be above. So that's going to be called student. And then I'm going to add another section that I'm going to call teacher. Okay. So again, I added two sections. Now, if you recall, when I went here, the three dots are here and it says go to section based on answer. Do you see that? So I'm going to click on that. And here it opened up this little sidebar. So continue to next section. I want this to go to the section 1, which is called, or I'm sorry, I want it to go to section 2, which is called teacher. So if you look on my screen, here's section 2 called teacher. So, oh, actually that should say parent. Sorry, let me change that really quick so I don't confuse you. Parent, sorry. Okay, now we're back up here. Now it's gonna stay right. Okay, so here, go to section base. So here it says continue to next section, and it is parent. So I'm going to click on that. And then this one, go to section student. Or if somebody marks that they're a student, it can just not even have a section and submit the form. So you can do that as well. But for this case, I'm going to show you student. Okay. So now let's go to our preview window or because I want to make sure it works. Okay, so this is required. So I'm going to put in my email address. And then I'm going to say I'm a parent and I'm going to click on next. And then it takes me to my parent section where I can have all my parent questions. Okay, everybody with me? Anybody need me to do that again? You're feeling like, oh, I see what you're doing, but I'm not going to be able to do that. It's also in the job aid. Okay. All right, good. Okay, so that is a really neat thing to do where you can start to section off your surveys and you can make sure that they're going to the right people. So people really like that a lot. They're like, oh, that's a really cool feature. All right, now if I'm in this section, which is the parent, I want to add a couple questions to this parent section. So here I'm going to click on add a question, but actually no, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to delete it. What I want to add to begin with is I want to add a video to this because I want the parents to watch this video on, I don't know, something. We'll find something. So by clicking that, it automatically opens YouTube. And do any of you have schools that are still blocking YouTube? Hope not. Okay. So it's going to go to YouTube. So just know that. So if I wanted to do a video on I want parents to watch a video on tiny Highland cows. Let's see what comes up. Okay, I'm beginning to really like these mini Highland cows. But let's say I want to show a video on that. So I'm going to click on that. So what I did is up here, I put what I wanted it to look for, and then I'm going to insert it. So the video shows up right there. So I'm going to give it a title, and this is, should we make this our school mascot? Question mark. That's going to be, or actually that comes in later. We're going to call this Highland Cool. They say coo over there, but we're in United States, so I'll say cow. Okay, so Highland Cow. So there's my video. Let's look at our preview. Oh, I have to go to parent. There it is. It shows up there. So it's
Meet the mini Highland cow. These cute cows are getting popular because they're
okay, so there it is. It works. Obviously, it's extremely loud, so everything's good. Oh, I just lost all of you on my screen because of that. Let me come back. Let me find you guys. There you are. Okay. So, okay. So I'm leaving that. So underneath now I'm going to ask a question based off of that video. So I'm going to click on question and I'm going to say, should we make this our new school mascot? And then you can do yes, no, it automatically did that. And then you can make that a required answer. So it's referring to that up there. How's everybody doing with that? Okay. Now I know this isn't going to make sense, but I'm still going to say, let's say that we wanted this to, because remember we made this a quiz and I have my answer key. So let's say I wanted to make this a part of the quiz. So I can here assign it points. So I'm going to make that, I can actually put in 100 points and then add answer feedback. So I could say, incorrect answer, sorry, the decision has been made. We want the cow. And then I could do yay. Okay, so that is now there. So I have that information there and I can go done. And then I have to let it know that that is the answer. And I do that on the key, which is feedback for correct answer. And done. Okay, so that's there. I clicked on the correct answer. Everybody good with that? All right. Awesome. Thank you for the feedback, the nonverbal feedback. All right, now we're going to change it up just a tad bit, where that's kind of how you do the questions. Pretty easy. You can all figure it out. It's not really difficult. I love purple, but there are times that I want to change it up a little bit. So you can come here to the paint palette. And here, if I wanted to change it up a little bit, I could start to change things here. So I could change the header. Here's some different types of things I could do. I could change the color. So I start to have some flexibility in what I'm doing with it. So again, I encourage you to play around with that. You can add an image. So if I wanted to add, these are all really old Christmas pictures, but if I wanted to add a Christmas picture of my former colleague and I could. She would die of embarrassment if she knew I was posting that of her because her hair is really long now. But if I wanted to add that, I could. So you can start to mix it up a little bit and personalize it. Carrie, don't tell Miss Shannon I did that. And
Got it.
And what you'll notice is it starts giving me a palette that would look pretty with it. So this was clearly a Christmas picture we took together many moons ago. And so here is a palette based off of that picture. So if you are studying, say, the Great Garbage Patch and you have a picture of the Great Garbage Patch, it might bring in some blues and some browns. Everybody with me on that? Okay. All right. So the other thing that you want to know about in this area is that here, if I clicked on the person, and if you click on the person, all the same sharing responses kind of are the same, but they mix it up a little bit in Google Forms. These are still the same. So like people, you can add people and share it with people. So if I wanted to share this with Carrie, it's now going to be shared. And Carrie is going to be an editor. That's all the same. So not much is different there. But where it starts getting different is you can start saying, I only want people to respond if they're from SDCOE. How do they know that? Via the email address. So if you just want maybe people, like if you're doing a teacher survey on what new curriculum that you want to adopt, you can only have people from your district sign in and answer. So you have some different things that you could do that way for restrictions on who responds. But I encourage you to play around with that. But the other thing that you can do, which is really a cool little feature in Google Forms, is did you see these 3 dots that I have here? So again, in the top right-hand corner, there's going to be 3 dots. So the 3 dots are really important because a lot of times you could make a copy of a really good survey. So there's times that you may have to do that. I make copies of good surveys all the time, and I use them year after year, or I use them month after month. So you can make a copy of a good survey. So that's one thing. You can also, oh, where'd it go? There is also, where did it go? Oh, you know what? I think they streamlined it because here, when I made Carrie, I was able to make her an editor. And they used to have that separate as a contributor, but now it's an editor, which I think is way easier. So love that. Okay. So that is good to know. The other thing is, and I'm not going to go into this in detail, but you can do add-ons. So if you click on add-ons, it's going to open up the Google Marketplace. Now, add-ons are fun to explore. Your district, one of the reasons why I don't do it a lot is and talk about it that much is because your district will determine which add-ons you have access to. Some districts are like you have access to all of them. Some districts are none. You have access to none. So one of the things that you could do with like an add-on, you can search to see. There's certain add-ons that if somebody automatically responds to something, they'll get an email back saying, you responded, and then you can add like, you responded, and now you're going to be a participant in Google Forms on such and such day. So you can do a really customized email back. That's something that you would get in an add-on. So I encourage you to look at add-ons. Sometimes you can, mail merges is a cool one as well. So if it turns into a Google Sheet, you can do a mail merge, but that would be considered an add-on. Check with your district to see what they allow as far as add-ons. Okay. Any questions? Because we're now going to exit out of Google Sheets or Forms and go into Google Sheets because believe it or not, we only have 20 minutes left. But I want, Carrie, any questions for me there that I need to
You're
be?
all good.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right. Now, do you remember earlier I said we're going to talk about this? And I'm in the response section. one of the beauties about being part of a suite of tools is that they all link together. You're going to find this in Google, you'll find it in Microsoft. So they do link together. So a lot of the things I'm showing you in Google, you can also apply them to Microsoft. But we're teaching Google today, so that's what I'll show you. So it allows me, this is where I would see my responses. I'm going to show you some responses, which will be very robust in a moment, just because I think it's important that you can see kind of the power of what happens. But here you have link to sheets. Now, you can actually have all your responses link directly to a spreadsheet, which is awesome. Or you can have, and if you already have a spreadsheet that you want to add to it, you can search a spreadsheet that you already have. If you just do the link to sheets, it's going to give you a blank one. So I'll show you. I'm going to click on it. And it says, do you want to create a new spreadsheet? Yes, I do. Do I want to click on an existing one? No, I don't. And I want it to create. And here is my new sheet. And what you'll notice is it has the questions up here. Now I'm going to pause my screen for a moment because I'm going to show you what a completed sheet looks like, but I need to find one that doesn't let anybody's PII out. Okay. Okay, I'm resuming now. Can you all see my, I have a bunch of pie charts. Okay. So what this is this is the responses for some of our professional development that we do. So this is just what Google Forms puts out. It's not sending it to Sheets or anything like that. It's just what it's sending out to me. And what's really nice is it gives us pie charts. So it gives me pie charts. I can look at numbers. It tells me the name of the question. So it's really a great, great feature. So in some cases, you may not even need the spreadsheet, but in some cases you do. Everybody with me on that? So for those of you that are maybe even getting a master's or a doctorate, this is also a really good tool to use because you can collect data that way as well. And then it puts it in really simplified charts and diagrams, but they're still good. Visually, they're nice. Okay, but I'm going to come back to my test. Oh, that was my test one from earlier. Actually, I'll just use this one. This was the parent one, but I'm going to use this test one because there were some cool features on it that I want to show. Okay, so this is a spreadsheet. And so a lot of what you're going to see, you're going to be able to use this both on Google Sheets, but then also on Microsoft Excel. Okay. So some things I'm going to show you here before we get into this stuff that I was practicing with Miss Carrie Lane earlier today, because like I said, she is the guru. So Sheets is nice because what it allows you to do is it allows you to start manipulating your data. I named this test sheet, but you'll see on this one, it's actually, I'll just show it here because it's all there. On here, it has the name. So this was called Parent Survey 10/20/25. So what will start coming in is it will timestamp when people take the survey and the date of the survey. So let's say you're giving a quiz to your students and you tell them, everybody needs to be done with this by 12 midnight on October 31st. And so you would be able to come here and it timestamps it. So if a student doesn't turn it in until November 2nd, you would be able to see that. So that's a really nice thing about it showing you on the sheet. So that's a good thing. It also has the email address there. And what you'll see is if I had a lot of data here, I would be able to start to sort. So I could maybe even do email addresses alphabetically, or I could do email addresses, you know, I could create a filter and look at the email addresses, like ones that are from Yahoo or ones that are from, our school district, to see if there's any teachers who are parents. So there's a lot that I could start to do with that that's really nice that it sends it over. It also has the questions there. So it starts to show what's happening. The reason why it has score is because it was a test. If it's not a test, you're not going to see score either. So that's a new thing. Now, just to kind of show you some of the cool features that are in Google Forms, and we're really running out of time, or Google Sheets, is if I wanted to merge cells. So I could merge a bunch of cells together. So see, I'm highlighting these cells, I'm dragging, and I'm coming up to this icon, and I can make that bigger for you really quickly. I am coming up to this icon right there. It has two arrows pointing to it. Does everybody see that? And here you're seeing how I highlighted these. So I can click on the drop down and say merge all. So it's merged those cells into one larger cell. I probably wouldn't want to do that normally because this is attached to a form, but I'm just kind of showing you what that looks like. So here I could type in this. This is a good place for a title. So sometimes when I title my sheets, I merge. So that's a really nice feature. Another nice feature is, let's say I have some numbers here. So I have these numbers here, and I'm really doing some banking, or I'm like maybe I want them to be money. I'm showing how much money people donated. So I can highlight this and I can come up to this dollar sign and it will make it money. So it'll make it look like money. So that's something that I can do. So those are all really nice features that it does. It can also turn it into a percentage if I wanted. So I could start to play around with things here. Okay. I'm going to go back though to just make it money. So let's say I wanted, this is 6, 8, 10, 12. And I'm looking, and this is kind of like a pattern. So I have 6, 8, 10, 12. I can do a drag and it's continuing that pattern. So there's a lot of really cool shortcuts that you can do here. Now, the other thing that you can do is anytime, like let's say, so I've made this pattern, but now I want to add up that amount of money. So anytime you want to get to a formula in Google, your Google Sheets or Excel, you're going to hit the equal sign. And do you see what happened? It said sum, and then it highlighted that. So let me show you that again. So I'm going to go back. I'm hitting the equal sign, and then I'm typing in, because, hold on, let me click out of it. Actually, okay, so let me start new. So I'm going to equal sign and sum. It's that AI. It's already beginning to kind of kick in and read my mind. And if I hit enter, it gives me the sum of it, 84. Is everybody with me on that? Awesome. So we have about 9 minutes left, but so I want to show you kind of a cool thing that you can do. And this is more an advanced one. And Carrie was showing me this today. So Carrie knows that if I start messing up, she's going to hop in. So this is one that you can do. Oh, see, there's Carrie. She's like, Carrie has little faith in me. So she's already showing her face. She's like, I know that she's going to need my help, which if I do, it's always good to have a backup. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start typing some words in. Because it feels like summer, I'm going to type in beach. I'm going to type in sand. I'm going to type in water. I'm going to type in ocean. Okay, so I have typed in these different items. Can you hold up for 1 second? I'm sorry, I have to, or actually, I won't. I know what it is. Okay, so I've typed in these different things. Now, Carrie showed me that one of the really cool things that you can do in Google Sheets is I can come into this column and I can translate these words. So I can translate beach, sand, water, ocean. So here I'm going to hit the equal sign, because remember, anytime we want to bring up a formula, we hit the equal sign. And I know, because Carrie told me, but if I didn't know, I can look up how to do this. I could just Google it, or I could go to ChatGPT and say, how do I Google Translate, or how do I translate in Sheets? But I'm going to type in Google, and do you see it comes into translate? So I started typing up Google Translate. And this is where it starts getting a little confusing, but I have a bracket or a parenthesis. So I'm going to click on beach, because I'm telling it, I want you to translate C8. And then if I click here again, it's kind of giving me in the green, it's telling me, okay, this is how you do it. So I'm going to hit the comma. And then it says the source language. Instead of putting it in brackets, you want to put it in parentheses. So my source language is, Carrie, did I mess up?
Quotes. You were doing it perfectly. You just said
Oh, okay. Quotes. I want to put in quotes. I did the quote finger. I did everything, but my mouse said something else. But I'm going to put EN because that is English. And I'm going to hit quote again. And then it tells me I need to do a comma. So I'm going to do the comma again. I'm going to do quote and put ES, which is Espanol, Spanish. Okay. And then I'm going to do the parenthesis again. Okay. Do you see how it guided me on that too? So now I'm going to hit return and watch the magic. It's now playa. And now so beach is playa in Espanol. And now if I drag this, it's loading, and it has now changed all of that. It's now translated it for me. Isn't that cool? That's our magic trick for today. Who needs me to show you one more time? Thumb up. Thumb up. Okay. I'm going to show you one more time because it took me twice. Carrie's like, yeah. Okay. So again, who wants to guide me through it? Not Miss Lane, but which one of you out there thinks that you can guide me through it? And it's okay if you do it wrong. You can unmute yourself and guide through it. Anybody brave? Angelina, would you like to guide me through it, or is that like a not me?
Yeah, that's a not me.
Okay. Okay.
So,
All right, I'm going to guide you through it. Okay, so again, when we want to bring up a formula, we're going to hit the equal sign. So the equal sign brings it up. Depending on what we want to do, you can just start typing. I know I want to do translate, and they call it Google Translate. So I'm going to go Google, and then so I know they also call something Google Finance, but they call it Google Translate. So I'm going to click on Google Translate. And then do you see how it gives me it's giving me my clue. So it already gives me the parenthesis. So I'm going to type in, I'm just going to click here, C8. Or if I didn't want to do that, I could even type in C8, but it's better to click on it. And then it tells me I need to put in a parenthesis or a comma. So I put in my comma. Now it's going to say which language. So I'm going to click on quotes and make that it's in English, EN, which is English, unquote, comma, quote, ES, end quote, and parenthesis. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to hit return. It's loading, and there it is. Now, to drag it, in this corner, I'm going to see that circle, and I'm just going to highlight and drag, and there it is. And there it goes. Okay, that was our big look what we did. But what I'm going to show you is if you go to ChatGPT, so ChatGPT will also give you like all sorts of formulas. So what is the Google Sheet formula for I don't know. Carrie, give me one. Like
Do proper case.
proper case. So it will give you the formula for you, and then you just kind of, it will walk you through it. You could copy, paste it, and use it that way. So that's one of the nice things about ChatGPT, that it will start doing that type of thing for you. All right, so we have 2 minutes, so I want to just kind of go over everything that we did today. So today, let me make this smaller because this is so large. Okay, so today what we did is I actually got my coworker very angry with me by putting up an old picture of her, but she'll forgive me. So here we did a survey. I showed you how to do a survey. I also showed you how to turn that into a test if you needed. We added a little video to it, and we added sections to it, which would allow you to send a parent one place, a student another place. Then we went into the settings and we talked about the different settings. We turned it into a quiz. We also went into sheets and made this a sheet. In the sheet, we didn't spend that much time, to be honest with you, but we merged some cells, we showed patterns, we did a sum, and we did a really fancy formula. So that is what we did in our forms and sheets today. We should probably make this 2 hours because we could actually spend way more time on this than we did. It felt a little rushed. Anyway, any questions? How does everybody feel? We are always here to help you. So we're always available if you need help. I hope you know that. And I want to wish you all a wonderful evening. Happy Halloween. Stay safe out there. And we will talk to you soon. Thank you.